forums. On behalf of the HUAA, thank you for joining us tonight for this important conversation as we hear directly from the candidates seeking to serve as your next president of the Alumni Association. The first forum is designed to give our alumni community a clear understanding of each candidate's vision, priorities, and leadership approach. Before we begin, a few guidelines. Each candidate will have equal time to respond. We ask that all participants remain respectful and professional. Time limits will be enforced to ensure fairness and flow. And I'll pass it to Madam President, Kandace Harris.
Thank you, Caleb. Tonight's format includes each candidate's opening statements, their questions, a lightning round, an audience Q&A, and their closing statements. The candidates will have approximately 2 minutes per response, and then they'll have shorter responses during our lightning round. We'll have our opportunity to meet our candidates, and then each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. The first prompt is going to be for each candidate, why are you running, and what is your top priority for HUAA? We will begin with Kelli Jones, followed by Bryndan Moore, and then Karen Shropshire.
Thank you, Dr. Harris and Madam President. Tonight I am here because I'm running with a clear vision for this moment. Bison forward, one Howard, bound by legacy, driven by impact. I believe that this alumni community can do so much, and I feel that we can accomplish so much in this next administration. And for nearly a decade, I've had the privilege of serving our alumni community. And so tonight, you'll see a lot of the examples that I provide are based on my experience, not only as VP of Membership and Engagement, but also based on experience as a club president and a co-founder of a nonprofit here in Dallas-Fort Worth. Thank you for your time.
Bryndan.
Good evening. I'm Bryndan Moore, Howard class of 96, and I'm running for HUA president because I see tremendous opportunities that we're building towards and building forward. Here's what most people don't know about me. I spent the better part of 30 years serving Howard, but most of that service was outside of the official alumni structure. I built Bison Roundup for 60,000 Howard alums who weren't engaged in HUAA at the time. I created an alumni roundup for 400,000 HBCU alumni with partnerships with 22 different HBCUs. I've also founded several businesses, including Brooklyn Tea, a VC-backed startup based out of, incubated by a VC-backed startup in Los Angeles. And I understand how to build, scale, and deliver value, whether in business or community. The outsider perspective taught me something valuable. I understand why thousands of alumni don't participate, not because they don't love Howard, but because we haven't made it easy or relevant for them in some way. As an engineer and a marketer, and with entrepreneurial mindset, I approach this differently. The engineer in me builds systems that work. The marketer in me understands why people engage, and the entrepreneur in me knows how to secure resources and create sustainable models. I'm not running on promises, I'm running on proof. What I've done to date, create millions of dollars in economic impact, have been recognized by corporations, magazines, and the university itself, and HUAA. Tonight, you'll hear what I do. I build modern systems that can help clubs plan events, fundraise effectively, and execute with confidence. The tools and the training that make local leadership successful. I'll secure strategic partnerships that fund programs and provide real value to members. Building on our existing partners like, I won't mention those that I've worked with in the past, and I'll lead with transparency, providing periodic reports showing exactly what we're accomplishing. And I'll create a bridge between students and alumni before graduation, so engagement starts early. My vision is simple. Bring alumni back home into the fold, all of us, not just those who already engage. I'm ready to serve. Let's build something remarkable together.
Karen.
Greetings, Howard alum. I am Karen Shropshire, and I am honored to be here as a candidate for president of the Alumni Association. I come to you today with 18 years of experience in leadership and in leadership with HUAA on the national level, the local level, and the regional level. I'm here because I have served and I am ready to serve as your president of the Alumni Club. And my strength is building strong, sustainable teams that don't just show up, but stay engaged. As a president of the Atlanta Alumni Club, I built a team that is still going strong in Atlanta and which has made Atlanta the premier alumni club in the country, in the world, as we are global. So I come to you today with these years of experience, and I ask that you vote for me for the next president of the Alumni Association. My first priority is engaging young alum. I feel there's a void and that this can be filled. So I ask you to join me as we move forward to make HUAA even greater than it is. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that. Thank you. Charlie Lewis.
All right. Good evening, Bison. HU. You know, it says BA 89, but it's a BBA 1989. I am Charlie Lewis. I am the 21st president of HUAA, better known as the COVID president. So now we're going to get into the moderated questions and the moderate discussion. Each candidate will have up to a minute and a half to respond. So question number one, and we'll go in this order. The order is Bryndan, Karen, and then Kelli. Okay. Question number one about vision. What is your vision for HUAA over the next 2 years, and what specific metrics or outcomes would you use to measure success? Bryndan, starting out with you.
Yep. My vision for HUAA is it's a nuanced approach. I've been on the executive board for 4 years. I learned a lot in that time. And one of the things I really learned was that HUAA, unlike the startup culture I come from, and Howard University, unlike the startup culture, has a long turn radius. It means that the first goal would be to provide a steady hand of leadership and continue on some of the great things that we've inherited from previous leaders. I also know that a lot of what we'll do, I won't personally benefit from in my leadership, but the point is to create the groundwork and leave for those leaders who will come behind me, because again, change takes a long time. My number one goal is to increase engagement, and that's across the board, starting as early as sophomores in undergrad and on to and well beyond. So metrics include money raised, number of people who participate in person and online. Those would be my main two. And thank you so much for the time.
All right. Karen, the question, do you need me to repeat the question? You're on mute.
Yes, please.
Okay. What is your vision for HUAA over the next 2 years, and what specific metrics or outcomes would you use to measure success?
Thank you. One of my priorities is increasing alumni giving. I think it is important that we have an initiative that will increase our giving. Last I heard, our giving rate is about 8%, and I know that we as Howard can do much better. So my metric would be to start with where we are and see how many alum we can get to begin giving again. So alumni giving. I'm also very interested in the male enrollment at Howard. Our enrollment of Black males is very low. I believe it's the class that just entered was 17%, 17%, and we've got to do better than that. I believe that the clubs at the local level are the way that we can make this happen by getting to our young Black men in middle school and in high school with mentoring. And again, those metrics would be very easy to measure by how many new what the increase is in Black males.
Okay, Kelli, you need.
No, I can go, Charlie. Yeah.
You need me to repeat it?
No,
Okay.
you don't. I don't need it. So there are 3 areas that come to mind when I talk about what I will do for the next 2 years. One is governance, one is operational structure, and ushering in the next generation of alumni. I believe that governance is foundational for our organization to thrive and move forward. And there's strong work already in place that's happening. But we have to have an opportunity to continue refining and modernizing our frameworks so there's more clarity and consistency and accountability around how we govern. And with that, I would say that it tethers into operations. And operations, we have made real progress. I've seen it firsthand for myself as VP of Membership and Engagement. And I have done this work to be able to update president's manuals or improving our governance manuals and funding processes. I think the level of success is that we have a majority of the clubs that are able to complete their end of year reports, be able to finalize any budgets and be able to really speak to the increased engagement that is happening within their region. And last but not least, with young alumni engagement, I am currently doing this work. Just this week, I will be conducting alongside the Young Alumni Committee Chair, a insights call with our upcoming current students who are seniors. And that insights call is going to allow us to hear from them, hear their needs, and how HUAA can support and help them move and transition into their new way of living. And so with that, as far as metrics are concerned, I do want to say that we want to show that impact by doing mid-year and end-of-year reports where alum can visibly see the impact around our governance, around our operations, and our young alumni engagement. I also do want to point out that with the giving rate, I agree that we do need to improve that rate. However, I do feel that organically we can only do that when we have intentional programming and provide that to our alum. And they can passively give because our alums want to leave with more than they came with, and we want to pour into them with intention. Thank you.
Okay. Lost my little sheet here. All right. All right. The next order is going to be, I believe, Karen, Kelli, and then Bryndan. And how would you strengthen relationships between the national leadership and local HUAA clubs while improving consistency, communication, and accountability across the organization? What would you change or implement first?
Would you repeat that question, please?
Sure. How would you strengthen the relationships between the national leadership and local HUAA clubs while improving consistency, communication, and accountability across the organization? And what would you change or implement first?
I believe that there is a perception with the alumni that our alumni association is not inclusive. And I think that's a wrong perception. And I would work towards correcting that. I think that there is a big issue with the alumni clubs and their being able to get access to their funds. And if you are a part of the Alumni Association, you'll know exactly what I mean. And what I would like to do is to study how alumni clubs could have better access to their funds so that they can operate much more effectively. And I would definitely start a committee to look into that, research that. Let's see what we can do better in terms of clubs being able to access their funds. And I think that if I were president, and when I'm president, I would definitely start a newsletter so that the clubs can be connected and we can know what's going on around the country. I think that would be a great benefit to the organization. I think clubs could be highlighted. We could just know what we are doing in the country. So that's another way that I think that the clubs and national could be better aligned.
Thank you. Kelli?
Yep. My initial reaction to this question makes me smile because being a club president prepared me to know how collaboration with national can improve. And to answer that question, I would say improving collaboration starts with strengthening the national structure and reinforcing transparency and accountability. National leadership should set the vision, standards, and framework, while local clubs serve as executors of the vision within their communities. But for that to work, we have to be deliberate about how we support them. So in my administration, that means clear governance guidelines so everyone understands roles, expectations, and how decisions are made, transparent communication around budgets, priorities, and where we're going as an organization, and consistent operational support, which includes access to tools, templates, and resources that actually help clubs execute effectively. Because clubs shouldn't feel like they're left to their own devices. They should feel supported, connected, and part of something bigger. And I did want to just highlight, as VP of Membership and Engagement, I currently preside over the events committee, which is also the event funding request. And so I have tried to lead with transparency and equitability in terms of the monies that are requested per club. And with that process, we have made great strides in clubs being able to access their funds in a timely fashion between HUAA and Department of Alumni Relations. Thank you.
Bryndan?
Yes. The answer is infrastructure and training. I do a lot of storytelling in innovation. It's one of my great talents. So I'll tell a story really quickly about Chipotle, a restaurant we all know and love, who last year had incredible skyrocketing profits. And how that happened was they installed cameras above the servers where they build your bowl. And they used AI to analyze what was happening. Now, they didn't use that to zing the employee who gave you too much or too little. What they did was they learned what the current state of thing was. They created a baseline and an analysis. And then they used that information to train and retrain. So we have clubs all over the world. And the question is, how do we work to improve the communication and collaboration between, the people who are running national and the people in local clubs? And it's the same as Chipotle, is first find out what's happening. Ask questions, create an easy forum, an easy way to get feedback where there's no penalties. People can tell their truth. Let's find out what the people say who are actually operating clubs. And then let's use that information to create a wish list, bring best practices, and let's train and retrain and never stop training. It will be great.
All right. Thank you, you guys. We're going to go back to alumni giving, engagement, and support. And this order is Karen, Kelli, and Bryndan. First question. In the recent State of the Union address, Dr. Frederick emphasized increased alumni giving, engagement, and overall support. Once again, he emphasized increased alumni giving, engagement, and overall support. How would you align HUAA's strategy with those priorities, and what specific actions would you take to increase participation? Once again, how would you align HUAA's strategies with those priorities? And what specific actions would you take to increase participation?
Okay, thank you. I love that question. That is one of my pillars, is to reimagine giving. As I stated earlier, I believe that the alumni giving rate is far too low. And so what I would do is I would start an initiative focusing on giving back to Howard. And I think that we've never done that before with the Alumni Association. We've never really focused on how to encourage alumni to give back. I think once alumni understand that the importance of giving back, the way it affects our rankings, I think that we could encourage them to give more than they are giving. So I am very excited about that opportunity to work on an initiative to increase the giving rate. And I would like to see that increased by at least 30% after the first year. I can see us at homecoming, going around the yard, speaking to alum about giving back, having QR codes so that they can donate right then and there. But as Dr. Frederick has said many times, that even if you're upset about something, give an angry dollar. Give an angry dollar so that, because that improves our ranking. Our percentage of alumni giving improves our ranking. So I'm very excited about the opportunity to do something about the alumni giving rate and reimagining giving.
Kelli, how would you align HUAA's strategy with those priorities? And what specific actions would you take to increase participation?
Got it. So I just want to take the time to just kind of acknowledge what our pillars are, and that's scholarship, service, and philanthropy. But also at the core of HUAA's mission is a simple but powerful charge to promote Howard as a place of academic excellence and to create an environment where alumni stay engaged through service and support. I think you heard earlier in the conversation where I alluded to passive giving. And the reason that I stand firmly in passive giving is because, as my opponent has mentioned before, we do have alumni that is disengaged, and we do have alumni that don't want to give. But I do feel that the root cause of why they don't want to give is that they haven't felt included, seen, and heard, and poured into. And so because of that, I have 3 initiatives and 4 that tethers into that, where we are meeting Bison where they are throughout all generations and eras. And as I've broadcast before on social media today, those 4 pillars start with from the yard to your city, what's next for you, which highlights our young alumni 0 to 10 years outside of Howard. Bison Connect, meet me where I am. Those 3 actually touch on all generations of Howard. But I want you to pay particularly close attention to the last initiative, which is Bison at the Helm. That is a strategic pillar where I am trying to partner or find corporate sponsorships with Bison who lead these efforts. And because Bison are always in the room. And so with that, I feel that if we are able to provide some valuable resources, some valuable tools, some valuable personal development by way of these Bison-led organizations or initiatives, I believe that when alumni will feel that they are able to be poured into and would have the spirit of board giving. Thank you.
Bryndan, but I do want to just clear, we
I can't hear you, Charlie.
We have done alumni giving campaigns, just for the record. I just want to make sure we state that. Bryndan,
Could you say the three asks again?
I'll repeat the question. In the recent State of the Union address, Dr. Frederick emphasized increased alumni giving, engagement, and overall support. How would you align HUAA's strategy with those priorities, and what specific actions would you take to increase participation?
I feel like I'm a broken record here. The answer to me is messaging and storytelling. And it starts with trust. I'm from an era at Howard where, there were reasons where trust was low. And that came up in conversations with alum all over the world for an era of alum. And I think we're at a place now where, personally, I really trust our leadership. Dr. Frederick coming back is an incredible thing. We were blessed, all of us were blessed to meet with him in March during Charter Day. He came in on a Saturday morning and spoke with us, and it was a candid, off-the-cuff Q&A, really get to understand, and a lot of storytelling. As a matter of fact, my interjection to him during that meeting was, as he's telling us the reasons and the backdrops behind some of the main stories that hit the news while he's in his first presidency, all that stuff makes sense, but you didn't tell the stories the first time. So it leaves us out here at times to imagine or to just listen and take the browbeating with what's in headlines. But once we correct the understanding of how important our stories are and live with trust and transparency, I think all those things naturally happen. Just the ask goes a lot farther. If you know I'm going to deliver and I'm going to act and do what I told you I was going to do, you're more likely to pick up the phone when I call and do what I ask you to do. And I think that's true for me as an individual, and it's true for Howard.
Thank you. Kandace?
All right, thank you. All right, you all mentioned it in your video about new alumni engagement, and so we're gonna switch to that. So recent graduates are not engaging with HUAA at the level that we'd like or you like. What would you do differently to reach and retain younger alumni? I didn't say the order. We're going to do Bryndan, Karen, and then Kelli.
What would I do to reach and retain younger alum? Yeah, story time. I graduated from Howard University after doing a full 5 years in engineering. And I'd interned every summer, but I was still broke because I was a student and helping to pay for my education as well. And then when I graduated, which was an incredible thing because I got to speak at graduation. I was a graduation keynote speaker. That had never been done in engineering before. It was fantastic. The week after, I got a card in the mail, and it was a fundraising card from HUAA. And I remember blowing a gasket because I had been broke for so long. And I was like, this is the first time I'm even hearing from you guys, and you're asking me for money on day zero. I haven't even got a job yet, right? So we're back to messaging. We're also back to planting seeds early. One thing I would do is in the count for how many Howard alum are walking around the world, we count anybody who's been at Howard and completed a year. Now, I don't know if all those people can vote, but that's the count. That's like the denominator of number of people who are considered alum. We need to let them know as early as possible that we exist, what we do, how we show up in the world, how we expect you to show up in the world, and we're going to help you much earlier on. And that's not just scholarship. That's perspective. That's presence. That's just, your mom and dad aren't here, but all these adults are here and they care about you also. So I would attract and retain alumni by training alumni, starting the moment they're considered an alum, which is right after their freshman year. First day as a sophomore on campus. I mean, I'm darn near redoing the whole campus pal piece and showing up and saying, hey, you made it past your first year. You even made it back to school, which not all of you do. Let's start programming you right then and there. And let's start building programs around the country and around the world to make sure that alum can interact and engage professionally with current students at every level, grad students as well.
Karen.
So for 13 years now, I have engaged in the bus trip that takes students from high school to the university. Over that time, I have made relationships with those students. They attend the bus trip, they go to Howard, and they graduate, and they come back, those young alum, and they give back to the university, and they give back to our alumni club. So I'm very proud of that relationship with those young alum and how we have been able to engage them. In 2 weeks, I'll be headed on another bus trip to Howard. So I have taken over 500 students to Howard, to the Mecca. I also think that it's important that we meet young alumni where they are. I had a conversation with my daughter, who is a alum and a young alum. And what she tells me is that we must meet the alum where they are by offering a mix of engagement opportunities, career development, mentorship, community service, social events. We can look at everything from networking mixers to virtual fireside chats with prominent alumni to wellness events. So we meet the young alum where they are. And I would also like to continue the Young Alumni Council and strengthen that group, because we've got to let them tell us what they want. And mentorship is another area that we need to focus on. I believe alumni mentoring college students and also alumni mentoring recent graduates is a way that we can engage our young alum. It's the connection. It's those connections that we have to continue to make with the young alum. And that is one of my pillars, is that we need to engage young alum and get them into the fold. So that is a priority of mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelli?
Thank you. So I kind of have a few approaches, but I just want to touch on first what I'm actually doing in my current role. So I work lock and step with the Young Alumni Committee chairman. And this year, we have conducted a focus group where we have listened to actual recent grads from 2020 to 2025 to better understand where the needs are. And in those outputs, what we learned was, one, they're very unaware of HUAA. So there was a level set that needed to happen in terms of HUAA as an organization and the structure and why we are here. But also that there was a lack of touch points throughout their college journey. And so one of the ways that I know that I can do something different is I'm going to lean into my experience as a club president. And what that means is, when I was club president, the freshman send-off was basically the front door to the HUAA experience for students of Howard. And so with that, I plan to train our club presidents in a way to move the culture into not just having freshman send-off and just stopping the touch point, but touching those kids every single step of the way, because we know that the kids go to and from throughout their tenure at Howard, back home. And it's about inviting them to different events, different service projects, and also foster the opportunity of giving. And so with also what I have currently been doing is I have been supporting Joe and Pluff's teams in admissions and also collaborating with HUSA to strengthen that student to alumni pipeline. But I don't want to also leave out that we do have a mentorship program called Bison Bridge. And that is where alumni can leverage being mentors to our students. I believe that we have an opportunity to strengthen that platform and be more transparent about what that platform can do and how you can access it. But I just want to highlight and just emphasize that there are a lot of foundational tools that exist currently, but it's just about leveraging them and messaging it in a way that alum can hear and know what to do. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. This is the last and final question that we will go, and then we're going to start into the lightning round. But this is the last question. This has to deal with transparency. What concrete steps would you take to improve transparency and communication with alumni? And how would you ensure those efforts are consistent and ongoing? And this is going to be Bryndan, Karen, Kelli.
I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. We didn't create this problem. There are solutions out there already. We need a dashboard. We need a dashboard or dashboards. Figure out what our KPIs are. Just measure what we've got and make it accessible on the web. Now that's the challenge. The challenge isn't like finding the technology that answers the problem. The challenge is that adopting the technology as we are a part of the university means that I can say, hey, we can set this thing up next month or next quarter or whatever, but it's not that easy. The university has an approval process. It still accepts, government money in big ways. And so it has to operate in certain ways that are very conservative. So everything has to be approved. The answer is simple. The application is not. But my answer is a dashboard. Find out what's important. Let's agree on what's important. What should we be able to look at a glance and say that we're doing well compared to what we were doing before, and we're not, where we can improve, and create that. That's the deal. I don't need help doing it, but I'll work on it.
All right. Sounds good. Karen.
Yes. And I'm going to go back to what I've said about newsletter. I think it's very important that we communicate with our alum around the country and that we have a newsletter that is really functional. I also think that our alumni council meetings that we have at the end of each fiscal year, I think it's important that we invite alum to come to those meetings and really encourage them to come. There was a time when we were doing that a little bit more, but I think we need to encourage them to come and see what we're doing in HUAA. And I think a directory would be very helpful. A directory so alum can know where the businesses are. If they're in Seattle, Washington, and they want to find an attorney, they can find them. They can go to that directory. Or if they're trying to find an old classmate, we have a directory that they can go to. But transparency is very important. And I think those three things would really help to improve it.
Okay. Thank you. Kelli, you need me to repeat the question? Or are you good?
Yes, repeat the question.
Okay. What concrete steps would you take to improve transparency and communication with alumni? And how would you ensure those efforts are consistent and ongoing?
Yes. So I know that transparency is a very big thing for me, even in my current role, but just as I operate in life. And so with that, I just want to acknowledge that data privacy is a real thing within the institution. And unfortunately, because we are part of an ecosystem and we are together in this, there are certain aspects of data privacy that cannot be changed. And unfortunately, that means that we are unable to have access, direct access to data of our alum and students. However, I want to just emphasize that we always can make a workaround for things. And so, with that, I think that having a detailed communication plan that outlines all of the aspects of what we are going to do and align with the university in a way where it doesn't create these bottlenecks of communication. And I would also have to agree with Karen. I do feel that a newsletter would be beneficial, and we have done that in the past. So we can bring that back. But also we also leverage our current tools, which is HUAA Nation. We can leverage that in a way to make that an alumni insights call and to allow for us to be able to speak directly to alum so that they understand what is happening within the organization, what is our impact at this time, and how can we do better. But also give us an opportunity for them to give us feedback. Because I do feel that in order for us to be better, iron has to sharpen iron. And so I just feel that between those two aspects, I think that we can have consistent operations and also clear governance. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
All right, I'm going to
righty.
turn it over to Dr. Harris.
Okay.
It's
So
the
we're
fun
moving
part.
into the lightning round. Charlie's so excited about this.
Yes, let's go. Let's get these questions going. And
All
I
right.
want you to, in doing these questions, you guys, I want you guys to make sure you answer the question. Listen to the question and answer the question. And you'll have 30 seconds to do so.
And we will stop you
Yes.
on this one. So just be ready. So we're not trying to be rude, but we will stop you at 30 seconds. So I'll start with the first question, 30 seconds. And the order we're gonna let me tell you what the order is. So I want to make sure we're in the so for the lightning round, it's we're gonna kind of move it about. So it'll be Karen, Bryndan, Kelli. Karen, Bryndan, Kelli. And we're just gonna keep going. Got it? Ready?
Wait, I have a question. Is it Karen, Bryndan, Kelli every time? Same order every
Yeah.
time? Okay,
Mhm.
cool, thanks.
We're moving it around.
Hmm.
And the only reason
Okay,
why is
I'm
I don't want to
again.
I don't want to interrupt you by trying to switch it around. But you can answer this stuff. It's easy stuff. Okay? Ready? It's like hot topics. 30 seconds. And take a beat. Ready? Karen? Biggest challenge facing HUAA right now. 30 seconds.
Biggest challenge is getting alum to become involved in our alumni clubs. And that's the challenge. There are many alum who just don't participate. And we can do better. We can do better by encouraging our alum to come and participate.
You did it in 18 seconds. See? You got it. That was easy. All right, Bryndan.
It's a tough one to swallow, tough pill to swallow, but the answer is relevance, right? What is the value of being in HUAA? And it's unfortunately separate from the value of being a Howard alum. Those things need to merge. They need to become one and the same. So just as the example, I know this election, we have 100,000 is the number we quote of walking around Howard alum in the globe, but the election rate of people who actually vote was like 2%. It's crazy. So I think it's relevance and creating value in HUAA that reflects the values of Howard alumni at large.
So I think I actually agree with Bryndan and Karen on this. I think why is because the focus group kind of illuminated that we need to be more in the weeds, and we need to be on campus, especially with our younger alum. So I think that as we start to get more transparent in our operations, we have to get more transparent in our communication and our intentionality in wanting to build HUAA out and making sure HUAA is visible.
All right.
Cool. Thank you. Second question. Karen, what is one thing HUAA should stop doing?
Stop doing. I think HUAA should find a way to allow our alumni clubs to be able to access their money in a much better way than they do. The clubs have terrible problems trying to pay bills when they don't have their own bank accounts. And the club, I have a club that's going through something right now, trying to get some bills paid so that they can have a trip planned. So that's my major concern, is a way that clubs can access their money. And thank you.
That was good, though.
Bryndan, make sure y'all listen to the question. The question is, what is one thing HUAA should stop doing? Bryndan.
One thing that HUAA should stop doing is focusing solely and so diligently on scholarships as our primary fundraising. In our time together, I've been 4 years on the e-board as member at large. We gave away, 700. One year we gave away like $750,000 in scholarships. We should focus more on, just move the slider a bit towards endowed funds that service facilities like laboratories and things that we need in order to make sure our students are competitive.
Kelli.
This is a hard question for me because I feel like HUAA, we do a lot of things, but I do think that HUAA, we can kind of streamline and scale back on our engagement programming. And what I mean by that is there's so much that happens around all over throughout the year. And I think that if we have very structured focus in terms of the type of engagement we want to do throughout the year, it wouldn't be so overwhelming for the clubs. And it wouldn't be so overwhelming for region chairs to be able to help the clubs execute on their programming.
Great.
All right. Me first. Karen, what's one thing HUAA should start doing?
Okay, so I'm leading the way here in all the questions. I think that what HUAA should start doing is showing that we are more inclusive. And I think we need to make an effort to let alum know that you are welcomed and to come and join us. There's a perception that we aren't inclusive, and I think that that's something that we can work on.
All right, thank you. Bryndan?
I almost feel like I blew my question in the last answer, but I'll have a new one, and that is, I think we should blow the whistle, like the conch or whatever, to bring alumni home and ask what they want and let them know that, they have a voice. There is a structure for involvement that is not just give me money. It's what do we want to do? And we can do that, and we can collaborate and coordinate through this structure. And I think that we should definitely just continue messaging loudly that, hey, it's time to come home, because it is.
Kelli?
So the one thing that stands out to me with this question is that I think we should move from alumni council and move to alumni conference. And I know this has been an idea and a thought and a dream of Dr. Harris for a long time. And I want to continue upon that dream. And with that conference, what I envision for it is that is an opportunity for alums to fellowship, but also get professional development resources, and also have any kind of wellness and financial literacy courses to help them. Because again, with my platform, I want to ensure that we are pouring back into alumni.
Great. All right. This is the last question, and then we're going to turn these questions over to the audience. And some of the audience's members have already sent in questions, but this is the last question. You got 30 seconds. This time I'm going to go Kelli, Bryndan, Karen. Kelli, what makes you different from the other candidates? Go.
I think what makes me stand out the most is I'm intentional and I'm a visionary leader. I take the time to listen and I understand and then build the structure to deliver on it.
All right. Bryndan, what makes you different from your other candidates? Go.
I think I have done the most touch points with HBCU alumni around the world, starting at Howard because I solved my own problem, and then with all the other universities. I've got existing partnerships with different universities right now. I'm actively doing this job, and I'm also currently on the e-board at HUAA, 4 years and running, 3 years as homecoming committee chair. The same as the other candidates because we all love Howard.
All right, Karen, what makes you different from your other candidates? Go.
So I have over 20 years, almost 20 years of experience with HUAA in a leadership position. I have raised almost over $250,000 in scholarships. I have served on the local level as the president of a premier organization, the Atlanta Alumni Club. I have served as the region chair, and I have served on the national level. So my experience is unmatched.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, these are questions from my audience. I'll let you lead this section first.
All right. So we had actually a robust, there were about 18 questions submitted from alums. And these were questions submitted across the HUAA community, and they reflected key areas of focus, including leadership vision, financial stewardship, ethics, organizational accountability, alumni engagement, and the future direction of the association. So we were all over in terms of what people were looking for. So let's just go ahead and get into it. We tried to do some alignment and grouping, but some of the questions were very specific. And so we wanted to try to make sure that we kept the integrity of the questions. And so we will start in the order you just did. I'm sorry, you said you did Kelli first. I think you just did Kelli first, Charlie.
Kelli, Bryndan, and Karen.
Okay, so
Bryndan,
I think the
sorry.
next one is Bryndan, Kelli, and Karen. All right. Provide specific examples and measurable outcomes of your work supporting Howard University and advancing HUA's mission in the past 5 years.
The past 5 years is a filter to put on. Number one, my service to Howard and Howard alum goes far longer than that. 2008, we got Bison Roundup set up and Alumni Roundup and brought people back in communication with the university. The past 5 years, 4 of which I've been member at large on the e-board, 3 of those I was homecoming committee chair. So a lot of the decisions that were made about what the homecoming experience would be was me and you all in a room figuring out how we can serve the community better. Things like the interviews and the alumni author features in the tent, putting charging stations on the yard, because who wants to be stuck on the yard without a cell phone if you're trying to Uber to the next event? We put lockers on 6th Street to make sure that people could put their things there and go to the game. I mean, that's just simple stuff. Serving has also been just showing up and giving of my personal time to come to the meetings 4 times a year and vote and listen and bring your concerns to the table and then be a conduit for giving back that information, what I learned while I was there. And again, also, I'm Uncle B to a whole bunch of people who are not blood related to me because of the number of alum who are my classmates whose kids are now at Howard. They wanted to get in. How did that happen? They reached out and they said, hey, I'm doing this, that, and the third. What advice can you give me? So I've got dozens of students that I've talked to, even just in the last year, many of which will be entering in the fall or are already at school at every level, including medical school. So my service is long and it is daily.
Can you give the measurable outcomes as the question asked?
I feel like I did. I'm going to stand on my answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think it's Karen next.
So I am very proud of the fact that I was instrumental in implementing the first digital memorial scholarship fund. And that is when one of our beloved has passed, and we are able to set up a memorial scholarship and raise money for scholarships. So over the past couple of years, we've raised thousands of dollars for scholarships in that way. And I'm very proud of that accomplishment. I continue to take students to Howard University on the bus trip. I'll be on that bus in about 2 weeks for that 10-hour drive to DC. And I continue to oversee the alumni clubs in the Southeast. We have chartered several new clubs in the past few years, and I assist them in all of their activities. So many things have happened within the last 5 years.
Okay. Kelli?
Thank you, Dr. Harris. So I'm going to segment this because in the last 5 years, I've been a club president, I've been a cup leader, and I've also been VP of Membership and Engagement. And so just to start, as club president, I've raised and distributed $25,000 in scholarships. In addition to that, I created one of the largest HBCU college fairs in Dallas, where there are current students walking the yard today who attended my event. As cup leader, I was in charge of ensuring that cups were supported and that they had the tools that they need, and provided them experience from my lens as a club president, but also being able to update the manual in order to streamline processes. And also as a VP of Membership and Engagement, I was also the co-chair of Homecoming, where I coordinated all of the activities, including the alumni tent, for that weekend and week. That was in-person and virtual programming. And during that time, I raised money to support alumni programming, and it was a small micro fundraiser that was utilized in Homecoming, the Centennial Homecoming, as well as 2025 Homecoming, and we raised more than $15,000 in alumni programming. And so I feel that I have demonstrated my commitment and my charge to this organization.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question, and this really hits home for me as a president and the alignment of HUAA in the administration. So Kelli, Bryndan, Karen. Kelli, Bryndan, Karen. How do you view HUAA's role in relation to the university's initiatives, challenges, and opportunities? How do you view HUAA role in relation to the university initiatives, challenges, and opportunities? So where does HUAA fit in when we have those three things that are happening at the university? If that makes that plain and clear for you.
Say the 3 parts again. I'm sorry. I just want to
University initiatives, university challenges, and university opportunities. What is HUAA's role in relation to those?
So I know with HUAA and Howard, we are not a separate entity. We are part of the same ecosystem and we work towards the same mission. And so where HUAA sits in that is that we are the nucleus. We are the advocates for the alumni, but we're also the advocates for the university to a certain extent. With any challenges, we have to work together. And what that means is while those processes at the university level may be flawed, we still have to find a common ground in how we move forward and workarounds that benefit the clubs, region chairs, as well as our alumni. And with areas of opportunity, I feel that we just have to create clear pathways, whether that's through the recruitment initiatives at the university, any type of mentorship initiatives, programming, or philanthropy. We have to be aligned and we have to be lock in step. It will not work and we cannot move the university forward or HUAA forward if we're not one Howard.
Bryndan.
This one touches on something that I think is a nice point of clarification. You know, there are alum watching right now, and they may think this is our organization, and you know we're in charge. Blah blah blah. Partially true, but the charter, the Constitution, and as Kelli said, HUAA is a subsidiary of Howard, and its mission is to promote the university as an institution. To promote it in excellence and create and maintain an environment that encourages alumni participation through volunteer service and financial support. So your three questions are, how do we fit in terms of initiatives, challenges, and opportunities? I would say in some of those cases, we're an amplifier, and in some cases, we're a clarifier, because the thing that we do have is access. We can ask questions, we can get the information, we can make sure we understand what exactly is happening and provide a conduit for information to alum to understand what's going on in times when the university is challenged. When the university is doing incredible things, our job is to amplify it. And that's the core mission.
All right. Karen.
So HUAA is an organization that is here to support the university. That's our charge. And I think we do that by marketing their initiatives, especially through, as I've said before, newsletters, work with clubs to make sure that they are aware of the initiatives of the university. And I think that we should also bring attention to the university when there are issues that the alum and the community are concerned about. And then we're here to make sure that our alumni are available or availed of all of the opportunities that are available from the university.
Thank you. Kandace.
All right. Let's see this question. As HUAA transitioned from a dues paying model to what we have today, name a pillar that you believe has had the most impact as a result from that shift, and why? And we'll go in the order of Karen, Bryndan, Kelli.
So I think the biggest impact has been that everyone is now included as a member of HUAA, whereas before you had to pay dues. Now everyone is a member, and that's really helpful to our younger alum. So there are no excuses for not being a member of HUAA. You're automatically a member once you graduate. So I think has been the biggest benefit of the new structure that was started a few years ago.
Bryndan.
Yeah, obviously, I agree, Karen. You're right. The fact that everyone is automatically a member is an output of that. I don't know that it's a great output. When I talk to alum who most of which aren't engaged in HUAA, and they say, "Yeah, I'm going to come. I'm going to do a thing. How do I join?" The messaging has not been there, and I think that we need to probably revisit the idea that dues. We need to develop a click. What is the click that says I am a member? I was not, and now I am. And also, how do we create solid value? What is the value of not just being an alum, but being an alum who participates in HUAA? Um, I agree with Karen's answer. We have some work to do on whether that was a good thing or a bad thing.
Kelli?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Sure. My eyes. As HUAA transitioned from a dues paying model to what we are today, name the pillar you believe has been most impacted as a result of the shift.
So, while I think that there are some things that need to improve, I do think that under one of the pillars, which I would say service, because club presidents and region chairs and all HUA leaders give their time, but we also commit our time to lifting up engagement. And I think that the one advantage of not having dues is there is no pressure to engage at the local level, regional level, and national level. And I feel that we have amplified that message in a way to ensure that it is inclusive, but we can improve on that messaging, as Bryndan and Karen mentioned before. But I do think that we have benefited from not having the obligation to pay dues in order to participate and be engaged.
Thank you.
All right. I love this next question. This is really good. For those in the audience, HUAA is once you graduate from Howard University, you are a member of HUAA. Just know that. You can seek out your local clubs. We have 64, Madam President.
I think we're approaching probably almost 70 now. But
Okay, so that are active. So, and we all know we love Dr. Frederick for his transparency with the State of the Union address and everything, but he's not going to be here that long. He probably has another good year under his belt. So, what is one? This is going to Karen first, then Kelli, then Bryndan. Karen, Kelli, Bryndan. What is one characteristic do you want in the next president that will succeed Frederick?
it's Kelli.
Wow.
It was Kelli first, not Karen. It sounded like you said Karen, but it was Kelli because I did Karen.
Oh, sorry. Kelli.
Got to lay off of Karen. Get Kelli.
Kelli,
Then,
Karen, then Bryndan.
I want to acknowledge that Dr. Frederick did an extremely good job of being very visible and very transparent. I've had the pleasure of sitting in a number of the State of the Union addresses, and someone who was just a club president and then ushering into the national role, I learned a breadth of a lot of different things that were happening on the campus in terms of his initiatives and his priorities. But I also learned about the challenges that we were having and how us as alum can be able to help improve on those challenges. And so with that, I think I want to keep that same spirit of visibility and transparency, especially with alumni, because as we know, a lot of messaging gets lost in the sauce and it gets all shuffled around. And us as HUA leaders, we have to be the amplifiers of that and combat any type of negative press, because we have to keep our institution sacred. We have to protect the brand, and we have to ensure that alumni are informed and well equipped to answer these questions when they're having kitchen table talk or whether they're having talks with people in boardrooms. So I just cannot stress enough that visibility and transparency is paramount in the next president. And I hope that whomever is going to lead that charge, they're going to lead with that same energy as Dr. Frederick.
All right. Karen.
I believe that the next president is someone that we want to, that will communicate with the parents, the students, someone who is approachable, who listens, who is responsive, and I think that's what will make. There's so many qualities that I could think of, but if I want to narrow it down, I would say someone who is responsive, someone who responds immediately when there is a problem, a situation.
Okay, thank you. Bryndan?
First of all, I want to thank you, Charlie, for saying my name correctly. I've known you behind for a very long time. I'm not Brandon. Thank you for correcting that.
B.
My answer, that works. B works. Listen, my answer is maybe in the more esoteric of answers, but you'll understand it. Those of you who this lands with will get it. I want the next president to be Howard, right? You know it when you see it. Okay. And you also know it when you don't see it or you don't experience it. And I've been around long enough. And even in recent history, we have seen it when it is not. But you've been out in public and your friends have said, man, you are so Howard. Yes, I am. And I would like that in my next president. If I were to do an honorable mention, I would say I'd like somebody who is a prolific fundraiser. But Howard, yes.
Good. I like all three of y'all answers. Very good. Kandace?
Okay. How have you directly met or exceeded the expectations of your current role? Include metrics and or outcomes. We'll do Bryndan, Karen, Kelli.
Yes. My current role is member at large, which can be a multi-definitive role. It can be defined by the leadership. It can be defined by the individual. I came in with the current administration. I'm an appointed position. I don't know if I can say it because I've been penalized for some things that I say. Can I say that I was appointed by someone in leadership?
Yes, you may say
Okay.
You were appointed by me.
Okay, yes, Dr. Kandace Harris appointed me to this position, and then in her reelection, we continued on. And what I did was, I think, bring that outsider, uninvolved voice to the center. And at the same time, I was learning what this inside structure looks like, feels like, and how it works. What are the connected pieces? What are the connected fibers? And I want to continue that. I want to make sure that I understand how to bring more voices from the unengaged to the center, to the engaged, and that information goes back and forth. To your question, metrics is messaging, okay? Our HUAA YouTube page has a ton of videos where you got real opportunity to hear from alum at all different levels of society, from mayors to anchors to authors to athletes and Olympians, presidents of organizations, the Howard Hospital, et cetera, in a way that makes our message accessible at any time and across the board and scalable and leverageable. And so I would say my biggest metric is true connection. How do you measure that? Check the Heart of Howard alum.
Okay. Karen.
So I am the Region 3 chairperson. I oversee 12 alumni clubs in the Southeast. And I have excelled my expectations in that I have been there for my clubs. I have traveled far and wide to their activities, be it North Carolina, Florida, South Carolina. I've been there and I have supported them. So I'm very proud of that fact that those clubs have excelled, they're doing well, and I am there for them. I've also made sure that they have gotten the training that that would make them successful. We have very successful clubs in our region, and we make sure that we share that information so that all clubs can do well. It's not just the Atlanta club, but we want to make sure that all the clubs in our region are doing well. So we do avail them to training opportunities.
Thank you, Karen. Kelli?
So in my current role as VP of Membership and Engagement, there are three things that you should expect from someone in this role. Someone who's connected, visible, and accessible. And so I feel like I've met these expectations and sometimes often exceeded these expectations. Just so you're aware, as VP of Membership and Engagement, I preside over the Engagement Committee, Service Committee, Fundraising Committee, Young Alumni Committee, and also the Homecoming Committee. As you can tell, I wear many hats under this role. But the one thing that I will say that I'm extremely proud of is that I've been able to intimately collaborate with the VP of Finance as it relates to our events funding request process. And those of you that are in the audience who are club presidents know that this has been a labor of love in trying to get these processes streamlined, trying to make sure you understand the process, and also allowing me the flexibility to modify processes in real time. But I do believe that with that collaboration, we have been able to really have a firm grip on our budget within HUAA. We are able to clearly define how much we can spend versus how much we have to pull back. Last but not least, I do feel that my leveraging of partnerships has been truly beneficial, not only in HUAA, but outside of HUAA as well. I have started to partner with HUSA, which they have created an alumni coalition initiative where we're going to see new ways of working with HUSA and also ways of partnering on different type of service projects as well as different type of programming. In addition to that, I've been able to partner with, and outside of my role that I intend to bring into HUAA is my ability to partner with major corporations. As a co-founder of a nonprofit, I have been able to build and form partnerships around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, some of which are with 3 major sports teams and some major banks and healthcare companies. And so I want to bring that breadth of knowledge into the role of presidency, but also this is the expectation of the VP of Membership and Engagement. Thank you.
All right. Next question. Howard has always been known as an academic institution. Recently, they have been excelling in sports. What would you do to have more alumni participation in sporting championships and opportunities that Howard undertake? Kelli, Bryndan, Karen. Kelli, Bryndan, Karen.
I got it, Charlie. I'm out. I was just writing down my notes. So how I would increase alumni participation is I would charge the VP of Membership and Engagement to form a subcommittee under engagement that's strictly targeted at sports at Howard. We have a number of alum that have really started to invest in Howard sports across athletics. But we also have a number of alum that are very passionate about ensuring that all athletic teams get the visibility and the notoriety and the fanfare throughout the year. And so once we establish that subcommittee under engagement, we can have a dedicated person that'll be able to inform us of the activities and they can partner with the athletics department in order to do that. But also allowing us to streamline our marketing as well as our engagement activities surrounded by athletics, because we know it's a lot going on, especially with our basketball teams, women and men, going to the tournament. And so we just want to make sure we have someone dedicated that has a pulse on this at all times, so that keeps us informed and ready to activate.
Bryndan.
My first 3 years as member at large, I was the homecoming committee chair. And this thing happened. We set up the tent on the yard this one year, and an alum pushed another alum in on a wheelchair. And it was an older guy, and he took a nap. It was like 10:30 in the morning. The parade was still going on, but he took a nap right there. And then he stayed there for, most of the day. What that made me see was that, we all participate at different levels, and we need to make sure we create avenues for participation at every level. So you said, how do we increase participation in sports? We need to create avenues for participation that include people who can be in the stands. That's one. Two, how do you participate in your hometown? And how do you participate at home? And all those things should feed into how you can participate on social media and show your participation and your support. I have a video that I put out 2 years ago when Howard first played NC Central and made it to the Celebration Bowl. And it was like an incredible thing that HBCU sports was now being televised on ESPN, because it gave an opportunity for us to watch and have watch parties in individual towns across the country. And we could potentially choose alumni-owned establishments to do it. So defining participation across many levels is how I would do it.
Karen.
So one of the things that I would do when I am president is I would like to make sure that we have a very effective athletic liaison between the Alumni Association and the university. We do have a problem in that many times the teams come to our cities and we don't know they're here. And we're very disappointed when we can't participate and support them. So we need to know ahead of time. I recently went to the baseball game when the women played, but it was such short notice so that it was hard to gather a lot of people to come. The swimming coach was here in town. I went to that. But again, if we had known that they were going to be here, I think it would have been a lot more people there. So I would work with the athletic department to make sure we know what's going on. I would have a calendar, and also that newsletter would be very helpful if we could post in a newsletter when the teams are going to be and where they're going to be.
All right, thank you. We're coming close to time. We're gonna have about 2 or 3 more questions. Kandace, I'm gonna lead off with you. I'm gonna ask 2, and then I'm gonna let you close it out. All right?
Oh, is that my turn?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So a local HUAA club is underperforming, low participation, limited programming, they're out of compliance, and there are concerns from members. What actions do you take as national president? Please walk us through it. Hit the mute. It's going to be Bryndan, Kelli, Karen.
As with everything else, the first thing I'm going to do is ask questions. I'm going to get together with my executive board and figure out what do we know about the club. I'm going to call down to the president of the club, if they're still even in communication, find out what are the challenges they're having, make sure that they feel like they're supported, and find out if if this should even still be a club, right? Or what are the concerns that you have? What are the problems you're having? Is it outreach? Is it finance? What's going on, and how can we support you? We need to ascertain what's going on because it's important. You have a role to serve and a function locally. You serve a constituency in the marketplace. I will also check with the region chair to find out what the region chair has done to support that particular club and just get intel on what's going on. It's hard to prescribe a fix without asking all the questions. And there's a beautiful structure in place to make sure that we have support at every level. And also, there are clubs, maybe potentially, depending on where it is, regionally in the area that maybe can help out if we find out what specifically the problems are. So my first step is investigate and then bring support where possible and see if this club can be resurrected in this current year.
Thank you.
So I actually would have to agree with Bryndan to a degree, and to the degree is there are definitive people within the executive committee and within the committees of HUAA that you have to liaise with in order to make a determination of the viability of the club. My first step would be consulting with my VP of administration. The VP of administration actually presides over clubs and region chairs. From there, I can be informed by the VP of admin what has actually happened at the club level. Then I would pull in the compliance chair. The compliance chair likely has already had discussions with the VP of admin. And because they've had these discussions, they probably culminated all of the issues and problems that have happened. Then we trickle down to the region chair and the club. But this is a group discussion. So we have myself as the president, the VP of administration, the compliance chair, the region chair, and the club president. From there, we have a thoughtful discussion around what are the challenges, what are the areas of opportunity, and depending on the severity of what has happened at the club, that is when we make the determination of if the club should remain active or if we should put the club on pause for a time. Thank you.
Karen?
Well, I think the question has pretty been answered, but I too would first speak with the region chair about what they know about this situation. And as Kelli said, the next person would be the VP of administration. That is their role. But I would hope that this would be something that could be worked out. And I would hope that the club could be revived and that we wouldn't have to end the club. So I think it would have to be some training, some remedial work that could be done with the club. But I would hate to see that a club would fail and go away. So I would do my best to make sure that we can work with that club and get it back up to par.
Thank you.
All right.
Y'all all do know that clubs have vice presidents. Y'all don't have to close down the club. But go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah. And you have a regional chair that you can go talk to, so to help y'all out there. So make sure y'all understand that aspect as well. I'm going to ask these two questions and then Kandace is going to close us out. For people on the call, as HUAA president, it is not a paid job. It is all volunteers. So that makes the job different from when you look at different institutions. Some institutions you have, and the alumni organization is paid by said institution. At Howard University, this is a volunteer organization. So with that, it comes a lot of time. Okay? So at the end of your first year, how would you evaluate whether your strategies are working, and what would you do if they are not working? Kelli, Bryndan, Karen.
So, thank you for acknowledging the time, because this is a selfless job, and we all demonstrate that we love Howard with the commitment that we make to being involved within HUAA. I know with my platform, I do have kind of two things that I want to get off the ground, one of which is operational restructuring. We've had systems in place before, and we are going to continue those systems, but it's time to refine them. In addition to that, we really start to build up our partnership network. I mentioned before, I want to try to target Bison-led organizations. And so with that, I feel that that is a realistic goal and opportunity within the first year. What I measure as success as it relates to operational restructuring and also measuring out the partnership buildup is that with operational restructuring, we should have a survey that goes out so that clubs can let us know how we're doing. Because the whole point of operational restructuring is that clubs have access to their governance manuals, they have access to travel manuals, and any of the tools that are necessary for them to be an effective leader. So if we are able to make that more accessible and more attainable, and I can work with the VP of administration to do this, that will measure success in that regard. And I have led a charge of wanting to get a total of 8 partnerships off the ground within my tenure of the first 2 years. And so what I am measuring success is building upon the partnerships that I have started to build, and also starting those conversations now while I am VP of Membership and Engagement, because the work don't stop just because I'm in or out of HUAA. We want to make sure that we're setting up the next administration for success, regardless of the outcome of the election.
Thank you. Bryndan.
Yeah, I took a few notes just now when you gave the question, and I would say metrics. I bleed blue. I'm Howard Doodle through and through. It started from when I was a campus pal. I want to see this successful. I plan on doing this for 4 years, so we have a nice long arc of success to make sure my strategies are working. But my strategies really are intended to push the bottom line on several key things, such as annual alumni giving rate, total funds raised, number of events. We'll have to take successful or unsuccessful to measure that somehow. Number of events hosted, and do a sentiment score. That'd be great to have. It's just like a customer service rating. Let's get a baseline on how you feel about the job how HUAA is doing, and what is your sentiment on how Howard is doing, and what your alumni existence sentiment score is, and let's measure that stuff, make a dashboard, and I'll know in a year how I'm doing. So super simple.
All right, Karen.
So I have several initiatives or pillars that will be easy to measure at the end of my year. I hope you'll go to my website at Karen for President HUAA. But one of the pillars is increasing Black male initiative. Another is alumni giving back. So reimagining alumni giving. I also would try to engage younger alum. So all of those are pillars that I can easily measure at the end of the year. And I do believe in surveys. I would definitely do a survey at the end of my year. And I also believe in going around to my clubs to talk to the alumni and find out how they're feeling about how I am doing. So I think it would be pretty easy to measure my success at the end of my first year.
All right. This is my last and final question. Thank you guys so far today. And thanks the audience for hanging in there. Do you believe it's appropriate as an HUAA leader to actively engage with groups who seek to work against the goals of the university? What is the upside of that? Karen, Bryndan, Kelli.
I always think it's good to listen to what others are saying, and perhaps being the voice in the room, the voice of reason. So, as a certified mediator, I would never not talk to another organization. I think it's a wise thing to do.
All right, Bryndan.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So one side of the thing is like being guilty by association is something we all learn not to do. But in this case, we're talking about alums. We're talking about other people in our community who have just a divergent perspective than the one I might have. And so I would absolutely engage and listen and just be in community because I need to know what's going on. I mean, we have people on social that are in our community that are politically divergent and totally opposite from where I am. I still follow, I still listen. I need to know what's happening, and I need to see perspectives outside of my own. So I would still engage, especially because what we're talking about at the end of the day is a bunch of highly educated Black folks who went to our institution who don't necessarily believe and practice the same way we do. So yeah, I'm engaging because it's just the respect and right thing to do.
Kelli.
I would have to piggyback off of Bryndan and agree. I think that there's value in hearing the other side, but I also feel that because we are the voice in the room, there's also equal value for an opportunity for us as HUAA leaders to really level set on the concerns and the likelihood of those concerns being able to be addressed or resolved. I think that when because we are all alum, we all have the same common goal and same vision, and that's to uplift our university and our institution. And so with that, I think being an active listener, understanding the problem, but also providing realistic solutions is the path forward.
Okay. Madam President, I'm going to turn this over to you. You can get in the last question and close us out.
Oh, I thought you were the last question.
Yeah.
But what I will say is this: I want to do offer each candidate 30 seconds before we close out. If you would like to briefly respond to anything that you heard. Hello?
Can mute.
If you would, if you would like to briefly, 30 seconds to respond, you'll have a chance to close out. So this is not your closing statement. So anything that you just briefly heard over the evening that you would like to respond to, rebut, anything of that nature, give you about 30 seconds for each of you to respond to. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. And I forgot the last order that we went with. We'll start with Kelli. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure if it was explicitly mentioned, but I do just want to acknowledge our legacy alums, because I know that a lot of what we've been hearing tonight is surrounded around young alumni engagement and ushering in young alum, which I firmly believe would be a good, sustainable, and long-term model. But I want to address that the older seasoned alums are the ones that carry the legacy, knowledge, and traditions and long-term commitment to Howard. And their engagement is just as vital because it will help cultivate that same level of dedication for our younger alum.
And they give the money. Bryndan.
Yeah, when I was a freshman, I lived in Drew Hall. Fast forward however many years, and I finally decided I wanted to reach back, and I had no idea where my freshman roommate was or my other friends. And this was before Facebook, before we were just not online. And I solved my own problem. I created a thing. My brother and I got together and we created a platform that allowed all of us to come together and connect and find one another again. I still have people walk up to me and say, they point to kids and say, your work made that happen, because they reconnected with somebody from their undergrad time or their graduate time at Howard, and they built family and community. It happens to me to this day. So, Howard has done a lot for me. Howard continues to do a lot for me, and everything I'm doing is really just simply to pay it back, and community is the vehicle that I've chosen. Howard is the community that I chose.
Thank you. Karen?
Certainly, family. So I would like to go back to when we spoke about the next president of this awesome university, our alma mater. And I would like to say that I would like to see a woman become the next president of Howard University. And I hope that the search committee will be looking closely at women. This is pretty much a women's college. It's about 70% women, if not more. So I think it's time that we have a woman lead Howard University.
All right. So each candidate will now have 2 minutes for a closing statement. The prompt is, why should the alumni vote for you? Karen, Bryndan, and then Kelli. And then Dr. Harris will close out.
This is closing.
Karen, you're going first. Why should the alumni vote for you?
For nearly 20 years, I have honored the commitment of our University of Truth and Service at the local and national levels, working to strengthen our alumni community and expand opportunity for our students. I have helped to raise over $250,000 in scholarships. I have escorted more than 500 students to Howard, helping them see what is possible for the future. And I have worked towards a memorial scholarship. I don't want to say I started it. I had a nice conversation with Al-Haji today, and it was not the first one, but it was the first time that the university used a memorial scholarship for a tool to raise scholarships for the alumni club. So I'm very proud of that. Probably about $50,000 has been raised just by using the memorial scholarships. So this is what I know, Howard University. This is what I believe in. We must re-engage our alumni. We must better connect with our young alumni. We must strengthen our clubs, and we must deepen our commitment to giving and student recruitment. I have done the work, I have built the teams, and I'm ready to lead HUAA to the next level. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bryndan, why should the alumni vote for you, sir?
Thank you. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity to share my vision. When I was the first in my family to attend Howard, and now there are 7 of us, and that changed everything. It's not just for me, but for the family. And that's what Howard does. It transforms families across generations. Howard is also a legacy vehicle for me. I often talk about it in circles of friends. Like, if I can make a difference at Howard, Howard will be here in 100 years. I can have legacy via my family and children, and I can also have legacy via this community and this institution. Make an improvement, let it go long. It's incredible. I said it before, Howard is the community I chose and continue to choose. And that's what this campaign is about. It's honoring the legacy by building and nurturing and continuing on the work of previous presidents like Charlie and Kandace, of an association worthy of Howard's excellence and Howard alumni's excellence. So I'm not your typical candidate. Most of my Howard service was outside of HUAA. And, when my brother and I got together and built Bison Roundup, we were dealing with people who were not engaged in this structure. We then stepped out of Howard and said, let's do it for everybody. Let's go to Morehouse. Let's go to Hampton. Let's go to A&T. And we did. We raised a lot of money for those schools, and we brought a lot of alumni back in communication with those schools. We also built businesses together. And that outsider perspective, combined with our proven business success, is really part of my core strength. I know why people don't participate. I know what they need. I know how to ask. And I know how to build systems that work at scale. So here's my promise. I'll build infrastructure that helps clubs plan, fundraise, and execute successfully. Where that infrastructure is already working, I will amplify it. I will make sure you get trained on it. I'll make sure I get trained on it. The tools, the training, and the best practices that make local leadership effective, because all politics are local. I'll secure partnerships. I've got partnerships now. I'd like to leverage those partnerships into Howard. We've done work with the Home Depot, Verizon, Toyota, Ford, the NBA, multiple NBA teams, and VCs. And all of that stuff is stuff that Howard and the Howard community, not just the university, but even our alumni businesses can benefit from. I'd also like to just champion some conversations that we need to be having. Dr. Tasnian DeBroy was speaking a couple years back, and she was talking about if your kid gets to Howard and that's the first time you start talking about affording Howard, we failed. We need to find ways to have that conversation early in a child's life with families. And how can we do that right away? We have the vehicle, we have the people, we have the advisors, we have the tools. So as an engineer and a marketer and a proven entrepreneur, I know how to build systems that work and understand why people engage. I've proven it by serving over 400,000 combined alumni and building successful businesses. The opportunity is here. My will is here. My time is here, and my demand is real. I hope that you all can analyze and take a look at my history, what I've done to date. This isn't a put on for me. This is, I live and breathe this. And I'd like for you to join me on my Facebook page at facebook.com/BeMore, BEMOR, where we can interact there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Kelli Jones, close us out. Why should the alumni vote for you?
As I reflect on this conversation, I'm just reminded of the journey that brought me here. With over a decade, with nearly a decade of service, from showing up in Dallas to serving at the national level and to building spaces where alumni feel connected and valued, this work has always been personal for me. Because I believe alumni engagement should feel real, it should feel intentional, and it should leave you with more than you came with. And that doesn't happen by chance. It happens through how we lead, how we operate, and how we show up for one another. Yes, we need strong governance. Yes, we need structure and accountability. And yes, we must invest in our young alumni. But more than anything, we need to be a community that takes action. I want to share a quote from this year's Charter Day convocation that really resonated with me. Truth in service is not engraved in stone, but embodied by action. And that's the kind of leadership I bring. Not just ideas, but execution. Not just connection, but impact. This is not new work for me. It's the work I've been doing. And I'm ready to scale it to serve our entire alumni community. Because we have an opportunity to build something stronger, more connected, and more intentional. And that is an alumni experience that truly reflects the power of Howard. And I'm ready to lead us forward. So please cast your vote for me starting at 10 p.m. tonight.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much to all the candidates. Give you all a round of applause. Out there, thank my audience for being out there and staying with us, and for you guys giving all those love emojis and heart emojis. Thank you very much, Kelli Jones, Bryndan Moore, and Karen Shropshire.
Yay.
And now I'm going to turn it over to Madam President. She's going to let us know what our next steps are when it comes to voting. And
you took my line. You took my line from me because I was supposed to thank the candidates for a thoughtful and engaging discussion. And thank you to everyone who joined us this evening. Thank you to Charlie for co-moderating the session with me tonight. Again, be sure to participate in the election, and you will be able to find more information about not only our 3 presidential candidates, but our other candidates who are running in this election at alum.howard.edu. Caleb, please go back to the previous slide. Thank you very much. You heard the candidates mention about our HUAA mission statement. So we just want to make sure that you guys do know what the purpose of HUAA is. And again, it is to promote the university as an institution of academic excellence and to create and maintain an environment that encourages alumni participation through volunteerism and financial support. Our 3 pillars are engagement, philanthropy, or we say fundraising, and service. Those are our 3 pillars that we are that we focus on. And then we are supposed to serve as a concierge service to our members. So it's important that we ensure that when alum come to us, we are able to provide you with assistance and solutions to help you further be engaged with meaningful conversation about your participation and lack therefore of. Next slide. Just very quickly, so you again understand when you guys do your voting, please understand the organizational chart. Like we mentioned, there are other candidates running, but for the president, that's just kind of how it works. So you can see how this all works out in terms of the president. We have other candidates running, our VP of administration, our VP of membership, our VP of finance, secretary, as well as we have regional, it says reps too many times, but it should be regional chair. And then you will know our 7 regions. Next slide, please. How to vote in the election. Do you want to take this, Caleb, or would you like me to continue?
Yes, ma'am, I can take over. So pretty much tonight, at 10 p.m., you will receive either a text or a email or both from Election Buddy. So make sure you're looking for in terms of the email, it would be invitations@mail.electionsbuddy.com. And then the text is gonna be coming from the 1-877-225 number. So make sure you're looking through your text and also your spam, junk mails or whatnot. So it's very simple. Once you get the text, you click through it, it will you just gotta pick and choose what the candidates. It's really simple. Once you cast your vote, you click continue, and it will let you review your final choices. If you need to edit, you go back and edit. Once you confirm and you submit, you cannot go back, and that is it. Final reminders for voting. It starts tonight at 10 p.m. ends on April 10th, midnight, and the new term will begin July 1st. If you have any questions or you see any kind of campaigning violations, please make sure you email the HUAA elections@howard.edu. With that being said, we just want to say thank you again to all the our moderators and also all the candidates. Thank you. Candace?
Thank you, everyone. Please, again, check your mailbox and continue to follow us on the HUAA on social media. Make sure if you haven't, make sure you upload your information. If you are unsure that the university has your information, please make sure you go online. You can look on the HUAA page or on the Department of Alumni Relations page. There is where you can upload your current information to make sure you are on there, or you can use the email that Caleb just provided to ask for a ballot. So please make sure that you get that information out there. So we appreciate you, and thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Thanks for sticking in there with us. Thank you to Kelli, Bryndan, and Karen. Happy voting and good luck to you all.
Thank you.
Hey, you.
You know.
All right.
Shout out to Bison